our Family Meals Month campaign, where we are looking at consumer perceptions of family meals. One of the burning questions that the food industry has had is that during COVID-19 and the home sheltering, many families began eating more family meals at home. And so the question is, okay, beyond COVID-19 and beyond pandemic, are those trends going to continue? And so one of the things that we decided to do during this particular Family Meals Month this September was we thought it would be interesting to do what we call a barometer. And what that meant is we did kind of our first round of research in June, end of June, 1st of July. We did another round that we literally just completed that has some questions in common, a few that are different. We're going to be doing another sounding in August and September. And I mean, we just did the one in August, September. We're going to do another one in October, where we're going to concentrate on family meals around the holidays. And then we're going to do another one in March of 2022. And what we're trying to do with these is just get a sense of what are people's intentions around family meals and what's their execution around family meals. Are they tracking on that trend, or is that dissipating after COVID? If we ever get to the point where we can say after COVID-19. So again, we're tracking these questions and we're trying to pay attention to those. Would remind everyone on the phone today and on this particular Teams call that it is our intention to comply with all essence of the antitrust laws that govern our country. This means agreements to fix prices and allocate markets, engage in product boycotts, etc., are all verboten, and we will call foul and move on. I don't anticipate any of these infractions going on today. So, in looking at family meals data to follow, it's important that we kind of understand the backdrop of concern that is pervasive in the nation today and in the world today. Back in February, when FMI last measured the level of concern about COVID and about the pandemic, registered around 64%. With 38% being extremely concerned and 26% being very concerned. Well, in August, as you can see on that graph to the left of the screen, in August that number had dropped to 53%, with 28 being extremely concerned, 25 being very concerned. But when you look at the parents, when you extract that group from those surveyed, you see that the level of concern registers some 10 points higher and is also deeper, with 36% saying that they are extremely concerned and 28% saying that they are very concerned about the pandemic. Now, when we asked specifically about concern regarding the variants of COVID-19, we got the same kind of spread, with 58% of the public registering concern, and again, almost 10 points higher, in this case, 9 points higher, 67% of parents saying, hey, I'm very, very concerned about this. Now, looking specifically at what people are concerned about, 42% said that they were concerned about sending their unvaccinated child off to an in-person school. And the same percentage, 42%, recorded that concern about going back to the office with unmasked colleagues. Now, of some note, 24% registered still being concerned about shopping in person at food stores, at grocery markets. Now, clearly, the way that we define family has been shifting over the past 6 decades or more. Just look at the way families have been portrayed on TV, starting from my childhood of the traditional Ozzie and Harriet and the Cleavers in the 50s and 60s, to the blended family of the Brady Bunch in the early 70s, to the diverse arrangements displayed in Modern Family during its 11-year run from 2009 to 2020. When we ask our survey participants how they define family, some 57% said, well, by family, I mean it involves my significant other. 40% said it was adults who are in my family. 31% cited my children as what constitutes my family. 19% said it included their pets. and 12% said that it encompassed adults who are not my significant other or my family. Now, you need to remember that roughly 24% of the American population is under the age of 18. So that number who talk about it being in the family, that's pretty much spot on in terms of the percentages. There are some new habits that emerged under COVID home sheltering. And regarding the new habits that formed under that storm cloud of the pandemic, over a quarter of Americans, some 27%, report having more family meals. And when you add that to the 57% that said they're having the same amount as before the pandemic, then you have 8 out of 10 Americans having the same or more family meals together. Some 84% having either the same amount of family meals or more family meals. Now, switching over on the right side of the screen to the cooking phenomenon, 34% said that they are cooking more at home than before the pandemic. 56% say they're cooking about the same amount, bringing that total to some 87% reporting that they're cooking more or the same as before the pandemic. Now, let's turn our attention to how some of the benefits of family meals and how Americans are feeling about those. When we asked, 43% of the population reported feeling more connected to their family compared to before the pandemic. Now, the breakdown, as you can see on the screen, is 19% said they're feeling much more connected to their family and 24% saying somewhat more. Now, 40% said their level of connection hasn't changed during the pandemic, and only 16% reported that the pandemic has affected their connectedness adversely. 11% admitting that somewhat, and 5% saying, I am much less connected to my family because of the pandemic and such. So you can see how the pandemic has drawn some people closer together, but it's also splintered of some family members. Now, on this slide, we take that connectiveness clock apart a bit and examine some of the pieces of it. We ask about the activities that led to a sense of connectedness. Now, the green bar are the answers to the first round of the barometer data that was fielded back in June, and the blue reflects the August barometer findings. Now, while the June to August numbers slipped just a bit, still more than half feel that conversations, there on the far left side of the screen, and having more time together are resulting in improved family bonding. Now, having family meals remained above that 50% mark as well, counting it as an important contributor to that sense of family cohesiveness and family togetherness. Surprisingly, spending time together outside slipped some 6 percentage points over the summer. I guess it's true that it's just too hot to be comfortable with close proximity to family. Cooking together also slipped a little bit, but remained a very important utensil in that toolkit of building family togetherness. Now, doing hobbies also fell a couple of notches, but meal planning also remained strong. So overall, while we see some specific areas decline some, it's heartening to see that all those areas that are dealing with family meals specifically, having them, planning them, cooking together, all continue to show up strong as an activity that really brings about a sense of family cohesiveness. Now, knowing that a close-knit family doesn't just happen by accident, but calls for planning and prioritizing and a committed execution of a game plan, we asked shoppers about their strategies for building family cohesion. Again, all the numbers fell just a little bit overall, perhaps proving that there is no cure for the summertime blues. However, it is worthy to note that family meals remained the #1 strategy for building a healthy, well-connected family unit. Personally, I hate to see cooking together and meal planning drop as far as they did in August, but I hope you can see that these declines as opportunities, providing a rationale of why celebrating Family Meals Month is so very, very important, and seizing this chance to offer consumers the resources that they need to make these meal planning and meal prep activities more fun, more productive components of building that close and loving family. Now, at this back to school time, I challenge you to find a better way to reinforce reading comprehension than by deciphering a recipe together. I challenge you to find a better way to build practical math skills than by measuring ingredients together and having to divide them. And I challenge you to find a better way to teach the beginning economics and building social skills than what happens when you try to make a menu together that meets the family's nutritional needs, but also takes individual tastes into account. I think that you will find that as a back to school program, that planning family meals, that cooking together and having them together is indeed a very good strategy for reinforcing what they're learning in school, and also as a way of finding out exactly what they are learning in school. Now, we ask families to crystal ball gaze just a bit for us and to speculate how they see family meals faring in the future for those three traditional dining opportunities. And here you see displayed on the screen before you that breakfast and lunch both have similar stats, with 60% of the population projecting about the same frequency of having breakfast together as a family and having lunch together as a family. 28 and 29% respectively anticipate more family meal opportunities in the morning and at midday, and some 11 to 12% think of it will be less in the future. Dinner, however, tells a little bit different story. And the dinner stats reflect the desire for more family meals that we see captured in other FMI research, particularly our trends research. 49% say they anticipate the frequency remaining about the same as they've had during COVID. 9% expect fewer dinner time family meals, but a whopping 42% anticipate having more dinner time family time together. Gathering around the table to break bread together. Now, clearly, as an industry, we do not want to miss that potential growth in the breakfast and the lunch opportunities, but for sure, shoppers are going to be looking for those additional meal ideas, the easy to adds, and the meal kits to help them achieve their desire to have more dinner time family meals together. And we need to help reinforce that inclination that they have and that desire that they have to have more family meals together. Now, to offer further guidance and I hope motivation for the shortcuts and the time saving and the meal supplements and the helps that shoppers are looking for, here's a very quick reminder that the average time invested in preparing dinner is still at that magic half-hour marker. 9% prepare dinner in under 10 minutes, and I promise that must be the cereal for dinner or the Hot Pocket crowd, because I can't imagine putting something together in under 10 minutes. 13% say that it takes them between 10 and 19 minutes, and more than half, 53%, say between 20 and 40 minutes is the average for them. And about a quarter, 26%, say that it takes them more than 40 minutes to get a dinner time meal on the table. And so what we have before us is clearly these busy folks are going to be appreciative of whatever labor saving and time saving steps their supermarket can provide them to help them meet that goal of having the dinner on the table in 30 minutes or less. Now, when talking about family meals, there's this general sense of agreement among people that they are a good thing. We've seen that in the stats up to this point, but there's often this intuitive feel that people have that leads to this general impression that family meals are a good thing. You don't have to convince me on this, that kind of attitude. But it is helpful to have data that substantiates the positive feelings that people have as they experience family meals together. So on this slide, we plunge a bit deeper into the actual experience of family meals that people have. More than half think it's a good way to spend time with people. About half report that it helps them feel connected, as we've already seen. And about 4 out of 10 say that it's an important part of my household's daily routine. 3 out of 10 say that it's the high point of my day. And here I can offer some testimony, because my wife and I, when we gather at the dinner table with our 10-year-old, we always are in the habit of kind of asking each other to say, what's your highlight of the day? Or what was the best thing that happened to you today? I have been surprised over the summer months in particular, as we gathered and have asked that question, that oftentimes the answer to that question of what's the best part of your day, the answer is right now. And so my own family offers testimony that we often find the family meal to be the high point of our day. And that ranges from my answer to my wife's answer to also the answer that has sometimes come off the lips of our 10-year-old. Now, a quarter of Americans say that family meals help them feel calm. 4 out of 10 say they relax me and that they're fun to eat. And a very important to an increasingly health-conscious nation, a third of Americans report that they consider family meals more balanced and healthier than the meals that they eat alone. So there you have a snapshot of the experience of family meals. And finally, the all-important bottom line return on investment question: are family meals worth it? Are they worth the time of planning them, the trouble of shopping, the money it takes to buy the materials, the time of prepping the meal, the hassle of serving it and cleaning up afterwards? Well, the resounding answer is yes, it is very much worth it. 38% say the benefits far outweigh any costs involved. 20% say the rewards somewhat outweigh the expense of time and energy. And 32% say the benefits equal out with the cost. So that means 9 out of 10 are saying that family meals have a solid ROI. The assets accrued in terms of emotional support, nutritional value, and family connectedness outweigh the debits of labor and money and attention. Now, admittedly, 6% say the hassle is somewhat greater than the return, and only 4% say it really isn't worth the aggravation. But I tell you what, I'll take a 90% positive return on investment any day. So that's a snapshot of some of our barometer findings about family meals and the sense that consumers have regarding them, about their desire to continue having them, and how we anticipate this trend continuing on well beyond the pandemic. And so at this point, I will say thanks to you, and I would welcome to see if anyone has any questions that they want to put into the chat box. I'll also give a quick shout out that next Wednesday at 12:30, we have our second in this webinar series, and we host Cheryl Toner of the American Heart Association, and Cheryl will be sharing with us some findings that the AHA has regarding family meals and maintaining a healthy mind, body, and soul. So with that, I will see if there are any questions, and if not, seeing any, no. Stephen McCauley has asked, was I surprised to see the drop in some of the numbers? I will say yes, I was somewhat surprised to see that there was some fluctuation there. Some of that is, within a margin of error, and also when you are surveying, you do get a different body of respondents, and you get some different points of views and some different perspectives. A lot of the variances were within that kind of 2 to 3% margin of error, so they could be seeing them as much the same, but there were some that were shifting. And again, some of it, and you can count that up to just summertime, different attitudes and opinions. I also think, and I have no quantitative data to substantiate this, but I think that had we took a sounding of concerns about anxiety back in June, I think we would have seen that there was even lower anxiety. And I think that it has probably dipped since the attitudes in June, and it has risen a little bit given the increase in the variant activity. And I think that that probably impacted people's attitudes and expressions about their family meals and their opportunities for gathering together. But that's speculation on my part, no hard data to substantiate that. Okay, not seeing any other questions. I will give you back 8 minutes in your day and let you go finish your lunch, whether that's with a family member or not. Thanks everyone for being with us today. Take care.